Today on I Am Rising, the in between. My intention in these podcasts, these recordings, one is therapeutic for me to see where I was at a certain part of my cancer journey to where I am now, and to be one, I guess, educational, so that if you know anyone going through cancer of any kind, you have an inside look. And then if you are someone yourself who is at any point or part of the journey, that you feel less alone. So as I record these, I don't know what order it's going to be in. It's really just how I am feeling called in the moment. And I found another journal entry that blew my mind because in a few short years, to feel so alive as I do now, thank God. It's amazing to me how dead I felt, how lost I felt, how dark it was. And so if I could shed a little light on anyone going through that, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to read this. This was May 23rd of 2021. And today is November 18th of 2023. So here goes. It is dark and it's a little long, but I'm gonna read it to paint the picture. Yeah. So here we go. Nobody tells you that after treatment, and treatment meaning chemo, nobody tells you that after treatment, it is the hardest part of all. You try so hard on the battlefield to survive. Each time through hell and back, you rest, you regroup, refocus. You're counting how many days, how many treatments are left. How many days is that going to be? Giving you that light at the end of the tunnel. And what you don't realize is that light, once you get there, is short-lived. The relief and celebration in that light fades. You find yourself back surrounded in darkness. It feels like there is no tunnel, no doorways, no windows. All there is darkness. You see physically you've made it. You have crossed the finish line. You've finished the race, but you've just realized it's actually a marathon maybe. And what awaits you is your mind, is your emotions, is your realization that what you've just endured, but were you were too sick to process, or you were just focused on the finish line, finishing that race. You had to be laser focused. And now there is no focus. The chemo has taken full control over your mind. Yes, chemo brain is a real, horrible thing. And it's actually worse now. And never in your wildest dreams did you expect it to be harder. Now, brutal. No one fully understands because you're done with treatment, quote unquote. You should be grateful. You seem and appear fine. But no one understands or knows what's lurking inside. How you don't feel like yourself. You don't know who that self is anymore. You've been fighting so hard for your life. That was the only purpose. And now you're on your own. Hesitant to do much of anything because of all the what ifs. Petrified to eat the wrong thing, to eat anything that you haven't prepared yourself. So leaving the house becomes the new battleground, a new war zone, and you haven't a clue how to re-enter. You lost so much of yourself, a breast, hair, dignity. You're in a grieving period to begin with. But now you don't even know how to live anymore, if how you were living got you in this place to begin with. But you don't know. You actually don't know anything. And even if you think you do, the chemo brain gets worse. And you wonder if you'll ever feel clear again, vibrant again. It's like another new death, and it's old and it's tiring. You're told, be positive. And that makes you want to slap the person who said it in the face, because they obviously have never been in your shoes. How can they know that you wake up every day and you write in a gratitude journal, you meditate and pray, set new intentions, do Kundalini yoga, breathe, get in an infrared sauna to meditate more, eat well, because you're trying to purify, detox, supplements, be a clean and pure vessel to work in as the toxins leave your system. You have affirmations posted around your house to, quote unquote, stay positive. And yet, all of those things are short-lived, and you're right back to feeling isolated and alone, empty, like a shell of the person you used to be. Whether it's the chemo or not, or a combination, you feel nothing. You work so hard on faith and trust and still feel utterly lost, wondering if any your purpose is, wondering if there's a purpose in any of it. You look, or so they say, so beautiful and vital on the outside. You'd never know what you've been through with the chemo, they say. And you don't blame them, but you also expected to feel more alive after treatment. And you feel dead, going through the motions, awkward, anxious, unclear, scrambled, unable to concentrate, remember much of anything. But because you're physically better than treatment, it's just worse. Now it's dealing with the mind, the feelings, the pressure building up inside of you, whether you consciously want it there or not, to be healed, to accomplish something, to move on, to get shit done, to connect with others. I don't know how to live anymore. I don't know what brings me joy. My body feels foreign. My mind blank, like I have dementia. And I'm running in circles like a hamster on a wheel because nothing works to make any immediate changes. And people can't handle that because they want to fix it and make it better. So then you feel like a burden on top of it all, because it's been about you for 8 months now, 2 surgeries, 5 months of treatment, and you're not even close to feeling alive, healed, normal, revived. So here I am sitting with all of this, trying to just be. And it's the hardest task or initiation yet. Going through chemo, going through hell and back was actually easier than this now, post-treatment, with my apparent life ahead of me. Scared, wondering what's going on, if anything, in my body. What food could damage everything? We all know sugar feeds cancer. But what about the water, drinking or the shower? The toxins in clothing, in soaps and detergents, the hidden additives that are in everything. Restaurant food not being organic. God only knows what oil they use or what kind of salt that they're using. How about environmental toxins, EMFs from every device? The worry being the worst, but you can't help it. It's exhausting. Fucking exhausting. I mean, even right now, I'm exhausted. I know it's a lot. So I'm stopping for multiple reasons. It was the end. But yeah, this is the life of a conscious being going through something that nobody should go through, right? And it's so interesting now because it's like, what changed? A lot. I can say that breathwork is the key. My school, Alchemy of Breathwork. Uh, my mentor, Dr. Kim Duramo, which is mind-body medicine, her program, Embracing Health. Those two things, I would say, are the top. I mean, I did so many different healing treatments. Acupuncture was huge. Donna Nestoric. Love her. Reiki healing. My dear friend, Diane Wilson. Gosh, physical therapy. My spiritual counselor, my spiritual counselor, Susan Vavona. All of these. Yeah, like there's so much. I mean, gosh, I have a list on my website because I was like, I want to make sure that I, thank everyone. And I'll always be thanking people. But I will say breathwork and Dr. Kim's mind body medicine created a consciousness shift within me because that's what it requires. Meeting all the little Tinas along the way, and I've talked about it in other recordings. My courage to go inside in the darkness and breathe and feel and cry and scream and be in the humanness of it all. It was torture at times. It was the hardest thing imaginable. But I just was so committed. And I have journals and journals full. I've been starting with the real horrific stuff first to then start to pave the way, as I did in that one episode called Death, Rebirth, and the Return, where I did read an old entry and then the more recent entry to show. And now I'm kind of going back to kind of fill in the blanks. It requires really making your health a full-time job. And I know that's not doable for everyone. But even if just within your own energy and intentions and daily practice, once cancer is in the body, it's a wake-up call. It's a calling to, perfect timing of a little beep. It's a calling to go inside. I got to breathe into and meet all of these former versions of myself that I used to judge, that I used to want to fix or change. And I've learned through my healing journey that those are parts of myself that are looking for my love and my attention, not fixing and managing. And so what if I go inside and feel what needs to be felt and breathe new life to those parts that had shut down, those parts that had closed. There was so much closure in my system over the years because it's easy to close. There's so many reasons to close. But the more we close, the light gets trapped inside. And the answer is opening. The answer is being willing to open and feel and to not resist. The answer is being willing to meet all of you. And it's easy to love what you love about yourself or what you like, but the work is meeting the parts along the way that you shut down. And it's not to beat yourself up over it, because I did a ton of that. You closed and created protective walls because you needed to. You created different identities because at the time it wasn't safe to feel. At the time that you closed, it's all you knew how to do. At the time you created a new identity, you needed to, because that tough exterior was needed to deal with whatever that scenario was at the time. But guess what? Now in this moment, you are safe. Now in this moment, it's okay to feel. It's not as bad as your mind thinks it is. It's just there's layers and layers of protective walls and identities that are so held in place that your whole nervous system is clamped down, and those are the programs that are running in your system. I had so many. We all have a lot. And that's why I didn't see cancer as a gift at the time. Who would? But it led me inside. I went inside and breathed new life and listened and felt. And then every time I would come out of a long breathwork journey, I would journal. And that helped me continue to meet those lost, hidden, tucked away parts of myself and love her. There's been shame. There's been grief. There's been loss. There's been rage. I'll read different entries as I'm called in the future. My invitation now to you is to ask you, what version of yourself comes up when I speak and share my story? Is there any memory coming up of when maybe you felt shame or embarrassment or humiliation or rejection, and you have a memory of when you closed? Is there any time you gave your power away for the sake of being in agreement? Is there any time that comes to mind where you felt so lost? Maybe you feel lost now. How do you feel in your body? Does your body feel foreign? In the work that I do now, I'm fascinated because what I'm coming up with is so few in their body, and most living from the mind. And when the mind is running the show, it's just it's just constant reaction. Anything that happens, reacting to it, and nothing can really move. If you want to feel whole, vibrant, powerful, alive, worthy, it requires going inside, but like really going inside, because so much of what I've seen from being in the darkness is how many agendas there are out there in the world that are, what's the word? Manipulative, and it's like you keep chasing something on the outside to improve to accomplish, to make it better, even to heal. Whereas all of that is okay on one level, the highest aspect of and answer is going inward to learn how to become more embodied, to breathe and feel. As I've said, and you'll hear me say it over and over again, breathe and feel, allow, soften, relax, get to know the different sensations in the body, because all of them is a way that your body is communicating with you, is talking to you. And my prayer for you is that you don't wait for a life-threatening illness or accident or loss to be what brings you inside. I'm glad in retrospect, because I was moving, I was planning, I was doing innocently, thought I was in my body. But when I was just laying there because of the limitation with the surgeries, the complete debilitating chemo brain, feeling like a shell of a human being, and all I could do was lay and breathe day after day, thinking it was a punishment. Now, wow, God, thank you. What a blessing. But I had to surrender. Well, I didn't have to do anything, right? Eventually, I chose to surrender. And in that surrendering and finding my breath and reuniting with my heart and my body and reuniting with all these old little Tinas, as I call them, and I'm still doing this work. I don't think that it's ever done. I think when we're done, we ascend, we leave, we go home. And so, yeah, surrender. It doesn't mean that you're weak. In fact, surrendering to what is, dropping in and feeling what's here, coming to a space of acceptance and allowing whatever energy arises without judging it, without making it wrong, without making you wrong. That is the medicine. And just to come full circle with all of this, you are the medicine. You are what you are searching for. You are the healing that you may need. You are the abundance that you're seeking. That's why all of my class series are titled that. Because when I've gone into breathwork, that's the beauty of breathwork. So many people are in resistance to it, and I get it. It's because when you drop in to do extensive soul journey breathwork, you meet yourself there. And it's actually quite beautiful and powerful. But the resistance is because on a soul level, a deeper part of you knows that stuff's going to come up and out. But that's the thing. You need it to come up and out, because if it stays inside, it eventually causes some kind of health issue, or over time, it becomes hardened and closed, and you're not going to feel fulfilled or alive or abundant. There may be abundance, or there may be things that happen in your life, but it just depends on how you want to truly show up in the world. And that requires going inside, and it just requires willingness. And even if you're just a little willing, even just a little willingness is the higher frequency and vibration that moves everything. So just taking these last few moments to breathe, to maybe feel that invitation from within that's calling you to open. Maybe a former version of yourself that is showing up that in this moment you embrace rather than judge. You drop in to intend to listen rather than distract yourself or want to release this part of you. Or maybe just making a new commitment to breathe more deeply and more fully. Whatever's coming up. Just trust and know that it's all divine. So thank you for listening. Send you so much love and to be continued.